And U.S. Border Patrols are finding more and more Chinese nationals are taking the dangerous trek to get into the U.S. NewsNation correspondent Jorge Ventura joins us now from the U.S. border. Jorge, good to see you again. So Border Patrol agents in Texas say they've seen the largest group of Chinese nationalists in over a decade. You actually have caught some of those encounters. What are you seeing?
Yeah, so I've been covering the border for the past 2 to 3 years, and we would maybe only encounter a Chinese national every 3 to 6 months on the ground. It was extremely rare, but it was happening. Here where I am right now is the Rio Grande Valley sector. It's in South Texas, and we've been encountering Chinese nationals since we arrived every single day, which has been extremely alarming. As you mentioned before, there was a day actually this month already where Border Patrol encountered 90 Chinese nationals in a day. That's the most since 2010, and the numbers are just jumping up. So here in the Southwest region where I am, back in February of last year, for the entire month and for the entire region, only 55 Chinese nationals were apprehended. Fast forward to this year, last month of February, over 1,300 Chinese nationals have been apprehended. So we're seeing a 900% spike already in this sector. And some of the Chinese nationals that we were interviewing, it's been extremely fascinating to find out, but the key role that the South American country that Ecuador is playing. So lots of the Chinese nationals that we've been speaking with are flying into Ecuador. The reason why they're flying into Ecuador, it's one of the few countries that doesn't require a travel visa from Chinese nationals. And from there, they'll begin this dangerous journey to the U.S. that is coordinated by human smugglers and then the Mexican cartels when they get up to Mexico. Now, for the Mexican cartels, the Chinese nationals are very significant because they are a valuable commodity to them. They're willing to pay up to $35,000 to be smuggled in the U.S. So that's triple the rate than what a migrant from South America or Central America could pay.
And Jorge, talk to us about the risks behind it, especially for those who don't speak the language. Are they making these plans as they go in terms of, you said, finding point people to get them across, or are they doing it before they leave China?
Most of them are seeing that they're doing it before they leave China. So they're in communication and they're using chats like WeChat, WhatsApp, and Telegram to do the communication. The dangerous part is that Darien Gap in Panama, because there anything could happen, but they're taking that risk. It's a very, very dangerous one. It's a long journey, and then from there, they'll get through Central America, Guatemala, and eventually into Mexico. The thing is, too, is Mexican officials have been playing a kind of this huge role in the migrant crisis, not just with the Chinese, but with other nationalities. And what I mean by that is, when these migrants get to Tapachula, which is that first border town in very, very southern Mexico, when they get to Tapachula, they're actually legally not allowed to travel through Mexico. But what Mexican officials are doing is they're kind of issuing these fake humanitarian visas to migrants, giving them basically a 30-day pass to travel through Mexico and then get to a crossing point into the U.S. So what we're seeing right now is a lot of these Chinese nationals, when they get to Tapachula, from there they'll make their way through buses or actually even flying to either Mexico City or Monterrey, Mexico. The most that we spoke to are getting to Monterrey, Mexico, and then from there they'll get to that Mexican border town to cross into the U.S.
And we have about a minute, Jorge. So for the Chinese nationals getting caught, is there a different process from the migrants? Who are they getting released to? Do they get sent back to China? What's going on there?
So some of them are also released with NTAs. Now, it's also depending where you're from. So right now, the Biden administration did extend Title 42. So right now, you're seeing kind of a downtrend in Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, Haitians, and Cubans. And the reason for that being is they are right now in Mexican border towns, and they're using the CPPD border app to schedule these kind of these asylum hearings through this app, and then they'll basically go up to the port of entry, and then they're allowed to come in or at least get their case heard. So from what we're hearing is there are migrants in these Mexican border towns that are extremely frustrated. They feel that app is working pretty slow. I'll be headed to Mexico soon to speak with them. So it's interesting what's happening with them. But the Chinese nationals, they're crossing illegally immediately. So they're not waiting in these Mexican border towns, or they're not even spending more than a day or two. And then they're crossing illegally when they get to them. So it's pretty interesting to see that. We're going to keep on the story, and we're going to try to communicate with more Chinese nationals on what's their next steps once they are released inside the U.S.
All right, NewsNation correspondent Jorge Ventura, thank you so much for being here for your time. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on.